In this video, we are going to talk about SPX, some of its recent price action, the important support and resistance areas, and where we can expect the price of SPX to go in the coming days and weeks. So we look at the weekly chart, and what we can see here is that SPX is now at this exact support area that it hit multiple times in the past. We've seen it get support from this area, one time at the beginning of this chart, another time a few months later. Then once again, it got a bit below that, but eventually got support from that area back in March and April, and once again in November very recently. And also in the last few days, it got a very slight recovery from this area. So is SPX starting a reversal right now from the support area? In my opinion, the structure is looking really solid. The support area has been a very strong, significant support area in the past, with SPX really going below it once and even then quickly recovering. And we've also already seen SPX react to it in the last few days, as I said. And all of this is happening despite Bitcoin actually not doing so well recently. So these are pretty good signs in my opinion. We've already seen SPX try to get a recovery from that area a few weeks ago, but the recovery ended up failing and the price of SPX got rejected at this resistance area that was also a resistance area in the past. As you can see, it's not a very significant resistance area, but it is definitely a resistance area. So I think that it is very likely that SPX will be able to start a rally relatively soon, especially if Bitcoin actually starts hitting a recovery as well. And if that does happen, then SPX will create a double bottom right here, with this being the neckline. And once SPX crosses this neckline at about 75 cents, this will basically be the confirmation of the double bottom, and it will likely send SPX much higher. The next resistance area would be this one at about 92 cents, and then if it even crosses that, then the next very significant resistance area for SPX is this one at just over $1.50. As I said in many previous videos, I am expecting Bitcoin to get back over 100k sometime in the next few months. Even if we are in a bear market, Bitcoin will create a new lower high at some point, but the timing of it is also pretty important. If Bitcoin actually first dumps or even consolidates for a while, then SPX might actually go lower and try to test the next support area at the all-time low from back in March. But even if that happens, I do think that Bitcoin will eventually get a recovery to over 100k, as I said, sometime pretty soon. So I think that SPX will end up holding at least one of the support areas, either this one that we are at right now at just below 50 cents, or the next one at just below 40 cents. And once the rally actually starts, it could be a very significant rally. The first target would be this one at 75 cents, which is not that strong of a resistance area, as I said. And if we see the entire crypto market actually getting a recovery, then it is very likely that SPX will cross it. And then the next one would be 92 cents. This would be a bit of a stronger resistance area, but if we actually see Bitcoin getting significantly above 100k and Ethereum follows it, and we get at least a mini alt season, then it is very likely that SPX will actually be able to get all the way up to this next resistance area at over $1.50. But in my opinion, for SPX to even cross that, it would require a very euphoric period in the entire crypto market, and it is pretty unlikely in my opinion. But I think that SPX is honestly one of the better looking altcoins in the entire crypto market right now. It has a much better structure than a lot of other altcoins. It is consistently getting support from about this area where it is at right now. And despite it doing pretty poorly in the last few months, it is actually basically just in a range, with the one exception being this high from back in July. SPX has basically just been ranging from about 45 cents to about $1.6. So I think that once Bitcoin does get its recovery rally and creates the new lower high, SPX has a very good chance of just continuing this range and heading all the way up to the upper part of it. But I think that if it does happen, then it will most likely get rejected again and then get a very significant dump again, especially if we are in a bear market and if Bitcoin actually continues to drop from there and even goes below the April low eventually and goes below 70k, then SPX will almost certainly go all the way down to the lower part of the range again, and then even potentially go lower than that and create some new all-time lows. SPX is a pretty new altcoin, and most altcoins do absolutely horribly in a bear market. We've seen many altcoins from back in 2021 get absolutely insane rallies in the alt season of 2021 and then absolutely just die in the bear market of 2022. So with SPX being a very low market cap meme coin, the chances of it doing well in the long term are very slim. and even if it does get a significant rally, it will most likely do absolutely horribly once we do get a bear market. But as I said, right now in the short term, I think that SPX is one of the better looking altcoins, and of course this is not financial advice whatsoever, but if you do want to get into SPX, then a good idea might be to dollar cost average into it, because it might get a recovery from here right away, but there is also a pretty good chance that if Bitcoin actually continues struggling, then it goes all the way down to the next support area and actually still continues dumping about 20% or so. So this saying will eliminate this problem. But just remember that SPX is a very small market cap meme coin, and it is really risky and volatile. This is no financial advice whatsoever. And that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it and you want more updates about SPX as well as other meme coins and altcoins, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.